Hi everyone, welcome to BullCaster, a talk show for all the crypto bulls. Here we're to discuss the most exciting industry topics with the best industry experts, influencers, and remarkable personalities. I'm Constantin Kogan, co-founder of BullPerks, and in today's show, we'll explore why stablecoins are the gateway to decentralization, together with our special guest, Alyze. Hi, Alyze.
Hi, how are you?
Amazing. We have a lot to unpack, and glad to have you here with us. And just a few words about Alyze. Like she's a blockchain strategist, novel educator, multi-award winning author, serial co-founder, and vehemently driven advocate. She worked with Dan Tapscott, and published several research papers, several books, and basically, we met through a very interesting circumstances, which we'll discuss during the series, right? And by the way, it's worthwhile mentioning that Lisa has been ranked in the top 50 blockchain writer in the top 5 women in NFT by HackerNoon 2022. Released the ABC of NFTs, world's youngest author, her 4-year-old son, and now releasing an NFT encyclopedia with inventors of NFTs. And this is exciting. You're working on so much things. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you today. But before we go there, do you wanna tell how we met?
Well, I don't get hashtag crypto Karen for no reason. So I guess um, Constantine actually and I have been both in blockchain for a long time. So we followed each other on social media, just fell in through because of our network. And then I was so sweet and I tagged him and other people on Hacker Noon that were getting Noonie awards. And I, little dorky nursing me, was so excited. I was like, oh, guys, we're up for Noonie awards. And Constantine's like, that's not a real award. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, sir, excuse me, let me tell you, this is a real award. And David Snoot, and I started tagging all of the owners of HackerNoon in there. And I'm like, you don't know what they've built. And this is by merit. And you should be proud. And Constantine was like super cool. And he was like, girl, you Karen'd me. You're right. I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. So we've been friends since. So
Ironically, that year, I mean, I also won this Noonie Award, like for investment writer. I'm like,
you beat me. You beat me. So there you go.
so yeah, that's how we started. But listen, your story is so intriguing. You are truly a role model for a lot of people. People follow you, people read you, and if I may, I mean, can you share us a little bit about your journey, from a hospice nurse to the best-selling blockchain author? I think, this is just by itself really inspiring.
Well, it's a funny story. People like to ask me how I got into blockchain, and I like to say by accident. So I was actually stopped at a red light and I was plowed by a semi truck. So I've got 7 spinal injuries, a metal clavicle, and shattered bones throughout my body. And so being a nurse and taking care of my patients, because I wasn't like a nurse, like hospice nurses are physical laborers. We turn our patients, we bathe our patients, we give them medicine, we work with them for 3 days at a time, to make sure that they're there. And I also took care of mentally ill patients as well. And so it was just too hard to do it at that point. So I got into blockchain actually very early, 2013, and I reached out to industry leaders. I pulled out all of my nursing retirement. I went all into Bitcoin and then into Ethereum right after. I met the founders of Ethereum and I asked them to train me in blockchain because I knew that this was going to be revolutionary. I prayed and I said, God, please help solve disability, help solve poverty. And he was like, here, have this internet money, you nerd. And I was like, oh, wow, because all my dreams come true. I don't even know what this is or how to turn on a computer, but let's do it. And just like that, I became obsessed. I spent no less than 14 hours a day in books in the hospital. Dimitri Buterin gave me everything I needed to learn blockchain. I was picked up by Team McAfee and
Mhm.
worked in privacy. And so I've launched tokens. I've worked with GSR and in marketing. I've done it all. So mining, trading, launching, development, you name it, I've done it. I'm just here to serve the community.
Perfect. This is really inspiring. And then you basically went to writing books as well, like and then like I would say, helping others to understand the industry much better. So you wrote books like Stablecoin Economy and Complete 2020 Guide to Stablecoins, which is set as like number one new release in business and money and on Amazon Books, which is by itself also really impressive. And from the title of your books, obviously you cared, in this particular period of your life, like more about stable coins. So what do you think is the most important thing people should know about stable coins?
I have not cared that much about stablecoins, to be honest with you, is to prove a point. I wrote an article 8 years ago on stablecoins, and they put a naughty nurse on the cover at this cryptocurrency magazine. Since I'm not a naughty nurse, I was not impressed by that. I'm a very conservative nurse. And so my payback to them was to give them their $200 back for their impressive article I wrote for them. And I wrote all the books and it became a college textbook.
Okay.
So that was my interest in stable coins. It was when a man hurt me, I do naughty things. And so like,
So you became a naughty nurse at the end.
right, right. I'm going to make sure you have to read my book in college if you treat me bad. Okay. So there you go. Um, but stable coins and why I think that they were so important, starting early on, especially with Tether. It's the most traded cryptocurrency that there is, Tether still to this day.
Mhm.
And why, like I said multiple times, it's just an avenue for people to learn how to use a decentralized economic system. So, like with America here, we have the CBD come in, the CBC come in, and they
Mhm.
want to have the digital dollar. And this is going to teach people, like credit cards are teaching people how to use money digitally. And debit cards are using digitally, but like the digital dollar is going to teach people actually how to use cryptocurrency. So I think it's just a gateway. It's going to open the doors to education there, and we don't have to talk so much if they can just use something.
For sure. So for now, like one of the most popular, as you mentioned, Tether and then USDC, right? Yeah. So they're pegged one to dollar, right? So it's basically serving the purpose of like another tool besides dollar, like which trade in a different wallets, different payment rails, right? And that helps a lot, like industry players. But maybe if you can talk a little bit about like, in your opinion, what are the most important key advantages of stable coins? Like if you were, for some people who don't use them every day, maybe there are a few people who are listening to us, they just discovered Tether, like USDT, right? And they want to understand how to use it. What's in it for them?
Well, first, I think people have to understand that there's five different types of stable coins. Okay. First, there's fiat backed stable coins, and that would be just any type of dollar. So you would have yen or the USD or, euro or whatever. And that's the first type of stable coin. The second is a crypto backed stable coin. That can be a basket of stable coins, and that helps reduce volatility as well. So you can have Ethereum, Doge, Bitcoin in a basket, and that can be a stable coin. And then what you're doing when you buy that stable coin, you're investing in multiple different cryptocurrencies.
Mhm.
And so that can be useful. The third way is a gold back or commodity backed. This is a big one. I'm a really big fan of gold back, silver, diamond back, any commodity back stable coins.
Carbon.
And yeah, and people ask why. Well, because, like I've had people in Dubai ask me if for trade, do you have millions of dollars in Bitcoin or do you have millions of dollars in gold? And what are they doing to get that gold? They have to transfer, all of this weight in gold over to Dubai from Texas. I like to use Anthem Gold as a really good example. He was one of the first gold backed stable coins, and he's a very good friend of mine. Excuse me, I had pneumonia. And so He has a fantastic gold-backed stablecoin that's been in existence for about 5 years now. And they keep cameras on, and when you buy it, they cut it. And if you want it shipped, they can ship to you, or they just keep it there on site. What that does, if you're investing in stable coins and you're not transferring the commodity, it reduces the ecological footprint on the planet. Like, you're saving the planet to invest in gold and not have it shipped to you, to leave it somewhere. So that's a really good idea. Also, those come in baskets as well. So you can buy different types of golds and diamonds together. So that's a really great case use. And then your fourth backed stable coin is algorithmic. Now, that is been in the news quite a bit lately. Don't get on me. I actually helped launch an algorithmic stable token with one of my best friends and soulmate brother, JP Bauder. And it was a really great case use. Luna has not been a great case use. It's been horrible. But I still have faith, and I think people should still look into algorithmic stable tokens into the future, because it is a model where the financial banking system allows saving accounts to grow based on an economy. And the bank is doing this already, and they're making money off of us, and they're not being transparent. They're not giving that money back to us. So if we can get Luna out of our minds and get that fixed and correct, I think that there's still hope for algorithmic stable coins. And then the last one, very quickly, is a hybrid. It can be crypto backed with fiat backed with gold backed with algo. It could just be any number of them, and it's just called a hybrid. So now, why is all that important? Why stablecoins were invented were just to reduce the risk of volatility. They've been around actually virtually since inception of Bitcoin. Mastercoin was the very first digital alternative currency. Mastercoin was meant to be a stablecoin, but also a non-fungible token before those existed as well. So, and that's another conversation.
Yeah, that's I love your historian hat that you're wearing sometimes, which I appreciate as well, because I'm the same. But so let me play a little bit of the devil's advocate on the one thing that people might be curious about. Like, when you're saying that one of the second, I think, type that you mentioned is a basket of like different other cryptos, which, arguably some people said, well, that's great. You can package like almost like an index, like you make an index like of five different cryptos, but how can it make it stable? Because all of them on all the underlying assets, like, even if you take Ethereum, like any others, like, they're volatile, right? So by packaging them together, you create a synthetic asset, which is equally volatile and subject to the volatility of different five assets. Yeah, it has a certain ratio of how it can balance each other, right? Because of the risk parameter. But it's some people say that this particular type is hardly can be even called a stable coin. So I'm curious to hear your rebuttaling of this argument.
You know, I I don't know, to be honest with you. It can reduce risk, but I go back and tell people, like, when they ask me to advise these projects when they're developing them. A lot of people will come to me and ask me to advise different stablecoin projects. And when it comes to crypto-backed stablecoins, I don't advise them. That's one thing that I will say. I cannot give legal or financial advice. You guys already know that. But I don't invest in crypto-backed stable coins either. And I will say that because, I can just invest in those currencies myself. Like, I can go and invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polygon on my own and not have a basket there. Now crypto-backed stablecoins might be useful for somebody in a financial institute that is not familiar with cryptocurrencies. And they do, they're not on Binance like a lot of us that are seasoned in the industry. They're just on Coinbase. And there are some, cult or meme coins that are backed by some of these, crypto backed stable coins. So if somebody from like JP Morgan wants to get in and he's got this billionaire that just really wants to invest in this stuff, and, that might be a good avenue for them because they're just not as educated. But still, I mean, I think they should be calling a bunch of different people because there are, people that do, and financial institutions and cryptocurrency that will invest in those quote unquote crap coins. I don't think you can say the S word on YouTube, but the crap
No,
coins.
that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, they can't invest in the shit coins, guys, and they shouldn't. So
No, listen, so first of all, like most of our like people like who are listening to us, they're already like a little bit of crypto savvy, so they don't know all those basic terms. Secondly, I do agree, the crypto collateralized, like, stable coins are very different by nature. But even Tether, like if you look at it, like I think they recently announced that they bought more of US Treasury bonds, right? So what people have to understand, like, Tether and the USDC and many other stable coins, even fiat based, they don't only hold fiat, they also hold like, papers, like, like governments, because they're less risky. Treasury bonds, US Treasury bonds are the most safest, like, probably right now investment, like for 180 years, right? That's what people probably forget. Like it yields 1.7%, which is almost nothing, right? Inflation is higher than that. That's a different story, right? So, but to actually preserve like the value of something, right? And to be like your collateral, it's actually pretty good. So, okay, so this is interesting. So we talked about this part, and then like during the virtual blockchain week, I remember you suggested the stable coins, they could be the key for big companies like, Facebook, JP Morgan, accepting decentralized assets as payment, right? And it's happening right now. We see a lot of like MasterCard, a lot of other big institutions are now trying to integrate stable coins. So what do you think is going to be next?
man, I don't know. Regulation, honestly, especially because Luna just screwed us all up, to be honest with you. I've gotten a lot of phone calls from different media outlets, different people just asking questions. What is this? Can you define this? They're trying to get laws in order. And I think everybody is just kind of like in this Q4 this year of 2022. I think everybody's kind of at a standstill and is like trying to see what's going to go on, especially in global affairs, which is going to affect, what happens in stable coins. The digital dollar is really going to change what we can and can't do as far as cryptocurrency goes in America, as far as I'm concerned. And I'll be frank with you, I try not to think about it because I think all of us have gotten into this industry because we wanted to exit from the main industry, like I was going poor because I couldn't work as a nurse anymore, and I was losing my home. Like disability wasn't going to work for me, and this is a way for many people to have equal opportunity. So I'm really afraid for what the future holds, but there's a lot of people here in the industry, including me, you, a lot of us that are willing to fight for decentralization. And I'll be honest with you, like the only reason that I've learned stable coins is to stay ahead of the industry. And to know what I can legally do and not do when I launch my decentralized tokens and work. And I'll be honest with you, except for commodity backed stablecoins and possibly algorithmic savings accounts in the future, I'm not really that interested in stablecoins that much because they're attached to the dirty dollar, or I can do the crypto trading on my own, you know?
I totally agree with you. I think CBDC is a huge problem for the entire industry because if, or better say when, probably they will succeed, that's going to centralize even more like things, because that will make them to basically create a new standard and everybody will have to obey. Like it's not a good thing. People understand it's not a good thing for adoption at all, at all. It will centralize things to the roof, and then it's going to be too late to fight. So if somebody is listening right now and try to understand like the difference between the real decentralized assets and the centralized actors who are not there to protect your wallet or to protect your sovereignty or your identity or the way you move money. They're actually digitizing it to have more control, right? And I want to say it out loud, like I'm not like just as you are, like I'm not also, I wouldn't call myself like a radical person, like an anarchist. I do believe like government should have their own role, but this initiative is very dangerous for the crypto industry, like as a whole.
It
But
is. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. You asked about JP Morgan too, and I
Yeah,
forgot to mention JP Morgan has
sure.
actually been involved in blockchain since 2015. They've been experimenting on quantum since
Yes.
2015, and Jamie Dimon blocked me on LinkedIn because he was bullying his daughter over Bitcoin, and I had something to say about it. He wasn't as nice to you when I crypto Karened him back then. So,
No, listen, I think he's in many ways, with all due respect, he's a hypocrite. Because, I remember him clearly saying that they're against digital assets. Like when you know that they have positions in Bitcoin, you know that they have like huge positions, and they shorted during 2017, 18, and then he's like coming back and say, well, we're doing some research, right? We have like 40 people, the department who's like researching. I mean, they were fully in already by that time, right? So I don't like those things. It's a little bit of like, I don't know, a lot of them like sounds like manipulation, but that's a different story. So I want to give an opportunity to our listeners from YouTube, from Twitter, from LinkedIn to ask you questions, right? Because that's another part of our show. I want them to directly attack you in a good way, right?
oh, great. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
So one
Bring that.
Yeah, so one of them is FIFA Crypto from YouTube is asking. There are some big rumors against Tether. People say Tether doesn't have the collateral for the money it mints. How's that possible? Can this cause a black swan event?
It can. And Tether was actually in the past, I believe it was the end of 2017 or 18. I'll have to double check in my book. But their attorney released a letter saying that they were only
Mhm.
75.8% backed.
Mhm.
And so they were not backed at one point. Just like the bank doesn't have all the fiat there that they're loaning out, that can happen. That's not supposed to happen in a fiat currency. Or I mean, in a stable coin, the money is absolutely supposed to be there. I don't have an answer for where that was or what they're doing right now. I am good friends with people that started Tether, and they are absolutely fantastic. They've moved on to other things, so I don't know where Tether's at right now.
Yeah, I can. The only thing what I remember that in May they actually published on their website, if you're interested, where it's official documents there where the about explanation of the pegging. So sure, long story short, they explained 55% of the total reserves are now in U.S. Treasuries, right? And the commercial paper now makes up less than 29% of the USDT backing. So you can read it up; it's all public, and that can help you a little bit of understanding this part of things.
That was
Okay,
in May of this year.
May this year, yeah,
Oh,
May.
wow. Okay. That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah,
you. I
so
didn't
so
know
they're
that.
trying they're trying to also be public about it, and I think that also what they did was interesting. I read in their thread that they actually moved $10 billion in one time to show that, like, listen, guys, if something happens, like a black swan event happens, we have like this collateral and it will survive as 10 to $20 billion out of 70 billion, which is a pretty substantial number. So I would say they're relatively safe. Again, not vouching for them, not a legal advice to invest in each other. Okay, so Umar Yusuf from LinkedIn is asking, what is your favorite stablecoin and why?
Hey, Umar. Good to see you. Oh, my favorite stablecoin. I think I already dropped it. I probably am going to go with Anthem Gold. You know,
Okay.
Anthem is a good friend of mine. He's one of the most spiritual people I've ever met in my life. He's just got a good heart. He also is big in privacy. He's just an honest man. And his dad actually legalized gold in the United States. So he came with, a big weight on his back, and he's just seemed to carry it over in blockchain and carry his family name on beautifully. So I'm a little bit like, you guys know I'm a hospice nurse, so I'm a little bit of sentimental. When you got good people doing really great things and it's giving back to the planet, that's where you really have my love and where my heart goes to. I'm a bad investor sometimes too. But Anthem's great though. Investing in gold is obviously a smart move.
I agree. Actually, I know them too. So yes, I would double down on this. We have one question about algorithmic stablecoins. So we'll probably skip that. You talked about it. So I would go straight to the oh, this is a good one. I'm sure you're going to appreciate this one. Mirai Beta from YouTube is asking, How does it feel like to be a female and keeping a leader in a male-dominated industry? Do you have advice for girls who wish to build a career in Web3?
Yes. Thank you so much for asking that. And I'll be frank with you. It's very hard and it's very easy at the same time. And I think the women that don't admit that aren't being super honest. When we walk into a room, it is virtually male dominated. So two things are going to happen there. One, we're not going to get treated like we're the smartest person in the room, but we are going to get noticed. And it's really hard because we're not always noticed for our work. Like I've had a lot of people, ask me if I was a Bitcoin model or if, like if I was a marketing director or, something like that. And I'm like, well, I'm actually a founder or, I do this or that. Or even I was keynoting at NFT NYC and this girl was on stage and she's like, can you take my picture? And they're trying to give me the mic to go on stage. And I'm like, speak, right? I was after the guy that founded Wax. Like, I'm next. And she's like, take my picture. And so, like William Quigley didn't have to take that girl's photo sitting on the end of the stage. So I think as women, it's harder because I'm very empathetic and sweet. And we have to be really bullish and hard sometimes. We have to be bears and we can't let people step on us. Like I said, my article, like they sexualized me in my article. And if you guys read my book, it sounds like a 90-year-old man wrote it. I know that I sound like Valley Girl Barbie speaking. I know it's okay. But my copy is extremely poetic and it sounds like a British 90-year-old professor wrote it. And it's technical copy too. So, I would say the advice is like be you because that's what Web3 is. You need to be you, but you need to be you authentically and be proud of it and not be ashamed of it and be good in everything that you're doing because, like we're not going to be successful if we're not giving back or if we're only in it for ourselves. And that's the advice that I would have as a woman. Just be freaking strong, be brutal, but be good in all you do.
Thank you. On a positive note, like I think a lot of people who give you this compliment, like about modeling, I think that's you can just take the good side of things and say like, well, okay, look, I look good, like the rest, like you just left aside, like that don't care about it, like But I do agree with you, it's tough. Another thing which may be interesting, I actually read that right now there is, I mean, it's a small increase from 7%. We're seeing almost 9 to 10% increase of women in Web3 industry, and that's amazing. I hope it's going to be more, and numbers will grow.
And
Okay, so
ladies, call me. You guys just call me. We have a women in blockchain group and women in Web3 groups, and we'll stick you in there. We'll get you a mentor and get you helped.
perfect. Thank you so much for that. So there's an interesting question from Belly of the Beast from YouTube. What is your opinion of established stablecoins blacklisting accounts to align with government sanctions? Tether recently did this after the US banned Tornado Cash.
Yep, I'm all about decentralization. I believe that stablecoins are the gateway to decentralization, and I don't agree with them. I don't think that people should have any rhyme, reason, or say in my money. I think it should be private. I don't like what they're doing. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's a way for poor people to survive. I grew up without running water at times. I grew up very poor, very uneducated. Like what they're doing is just denying us access to resources, education, and what we need. So I don't like it. I don't agree with it. They need to stop. So I'll call them and Karen them too and see how far I get.
I love it. That's going to be your mission. Karenize people. Okay.
I'm gonna write them a letter right now.
Okay. Raphael from YouTube is asking, do you think there will be a truly decentralized stablecoin that can solve the scalability problem that DAI is currently facing? How can this be achieved if not with over collateralization?
I think so. I think anything's possible. I think Dai has some solutions that they're not sharing right now, that you might want to be on the lookout for. And I think that there's also a couple of cryptocurrencies that are launching with solutions there. Um, and yes, a fully decentralized stablecoin will be absolutely revolutionary. And like I said, I see that, but again, like I'm a nurse, you guys, like I'm a nurse. I've been in blockchain for a long time, but I'm still, not on the financial realm. And I'm a little bit utopian, and when it comes to like seeing what we can do. So I still have hope in algorithmic stable coins. Like I think Luna just broke my heart. And I really see big institutions in the future working around algo stable coins in a very big way, especially with the way Web3 is coming up, and the way that everybody is going to be kind of an autonomous bank and, like their own entrepreneur with Web3 almost, in the next 10 to 15 years. I think that algorithmic stable coins are probably going to make a big comeback.
Mhm. So, last question, which I will ask you to do, I think for today, would be an interesting one as well. Like it's coming from Nakamoto-san, so maybe that's the one, right? So, from YouTube. We often hear that stablecoins are the future of payments. What do you think? Will it ever be possible to pay for real world goods in stablecoins?
Yeah, you actually can now. If you have a
Yeah.
Coinbase card or you like all the different little cards that they have, and you can actually pay with Tether right now, DAI, a lot of stable coins actually. So, and as they develop more and more debit cards that are inoperable with different stable coins, more and more will become available.
Yeah.
I think, in the very near future, I would say in the next 2 years or so, you'll just be able to have like Coinbase does, just for every exchange that you own, they'll probably have a debit card. And everything that you buy on there, you'll just be able to spend it. It won't matter. It'll just come out as the common currency,
Yeah.
wherever we travel globally. We won't probably have to go to banks in the near future to exchange currency anymore. It'll probably be on all those exchange cards.
Yeah, and then if you actually read more of the news, like Visa and Mastercard, they already build the bridges for that because that they're helping to process it. So like if you're using Coinbase, as Alyze mentioned, right? So that means somebody's already on the back end is processing it. So all the rails are ready. Like by the way, for someone from Europe, if you're listening to us, like Revolut also, which is a pretty popular big like the neo bank, right? They just integrated stable coins and other cryptos. So and I'm sure all the neobanks will do that first, and then we'll see traditional institutions will slowly but surely will, catch up. Um, Alyze, listen, it's really pleasure. It's always great to learn from you. I implore people to look up to your books, to Amazon, or we'll share all the links to all the amazing women in Web3 who are just starting. We'll share the links of yours. Like if you want to contact Alyze, she's a great, amazing human being who just always like share the knowledge or help you. So please, follow her and ask her anything. She's so very responsive. I know that for sure. So, yeah, listen, we're definitely gonna do something together. We're not gonna announce maybe immediately that this part will be a surprise, but we already before the interview agreed that we'll do something together, maybe a guideline or a book, like, but I'm sure we're gonna surprise you in the future.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And Constantine is making a premiere thanks to Dana, his marketing director, in my NFT encyclopedia. They have some access to research that I didn't include in the encyclopedia because Constantine is always beating me. And so I'm excited to allow you to be in there and promote you and all of your hard work over the years because I just respect you so much and appreciate you. You're such a great guy. So thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute honor. And I can't wait to tell you all what we will be doing in the future because I need help with gaming and I'm going to help this guy do something, I think. So
Yeah, we're gonna definitely work together, and I really appreciate your work as well, and respect you as a human being, as a professional. So, thank you for everyone who was joining BullCaster today. Please, if you haven't asked your question or we haven't read it, you can write it in the comments. We'll publish everything, and please join us for the next episodes, which is coming out usually at 3 p.m. UTC, which is 11 a.m. EST on YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitter, all the lives. So basically, you know the drill. And again, thank you so much, Alyze. Like, really pleasure.
Bye.
Bye bye.